For 4 weeks, a dedicated team of 6 divers embarks on a series of missions in the high seas to reclaim 2 World War II shipwrecks from deadly ghost nets. These abandoned nets transform once vibrant marine sanctuaries into hazardous traps. In this video, we delve deeper into the historical aspects of the mission, highlighting the passion and expertise of our team's most ardent history enthusiasts. Join us as we uncover the stories and secrets of the deep, preserving the past for future generations.
Some people do meditation, but for me it's like thinking about that kind of stuff. It calms me down and it's peaceful. The history, it's like a time capsule. If you come down there and you know sometimes the story about how a shipwreck is sunk, it's like you can visualize and see things. It tells a story, and that is fascinating.
In good part, my passion for history came from my mom. She was a professor of history and very passionate of history. And she had 4 kids. I was one of the 4. Most of the games and how she tried to keep us, let's say, entertained and calm to a certain level was related to history. We had all the walls of the rooms full of drawings of the War of Troy and Achilles and this and that and the Greek mythology. She was really passionate about history. But yeah, I started developing a passion for ships since I was a kid, because my father was in the industry somehow. He was building engines for ships. He was a naval engineer before he was a naval officer, then a naval engineer. So he brought me and the other brothers, when we were really small kids, in this big industry with the gigantic engines of the ships several times. For us was a big party when we were going there.
On the night of May 21st, 1941, near Capo Spada, the Italian torpedo boat Lupo heroically faced overwhelming odds. Surrounded by British cruisers and destroyers, Lupo unleashed a smokescreen to protect the small escorted units, launched torpedoes, and skillfully navigated through enemy fire, managing a daring escape. This night, remembered as the Long Night of the Lupo, earned the ship and its commander prestigious military honors, marking Lupo as the luckiest ship in the fleet. Yet, this was not its only long night. Years later, Lupo would face another dark and fateful night, ultimately leading to its sinking during a valiant effort to assist a stricken convoy under relentless attack.
The convoy was attacked by airplanes, and one of the ships of the convoy, the Veloce, got hit by a torpedo and went on fire. So the Lupo was detached from the convoy to assist the Veloce that was sinking, was on fire, it was sinking, so to assist the survivors and stuff like that. The night came, and during the night a force of 4 destroyers, so 4 bigger ships than the Lupo, 4 of them arrived on the scene, and they were assisted by the radar. Meanwhile, the Lupo had no radar, so they couldn't see nothing in the darkness. And so these other 4 ships could position themselves in a very convenient way for fighting. And then they switched on the searchlights all of a sudden, and they started firing with all what they had to the Lupo. So with 24 guns and torpedoes and stuff, so they killed nearly everybody on board in seconds. And the ship itself sank in 2-3 minutes. And now she's on the seafloor in 50 meters, more or less. And you can see that she's been beaten very hardly during the fighting. So descending the water column is beautiful water, very clear blue, like you would expect in the central Mediterranean Sea. And then in the last few meters to the bottom, you enter in a cloud of sediment in suspension in the water.
It's like scattered, it's shut down, it's laying on the side. It's completely covered with nets. You cannot see many details. You can see the cannons, and that is also something what tells a story about it. All the guns are pointing still in the directions that is going, so because they are prepared for something, but in the end they were too late.
They were too late to save themselves from the attack. Many died that night, and the exact coordinates of where the shipwreck lay were lost to the depths.
But still, it's very emotional to be. You have to know where you are actually, and it's definitely a war grave of the Italian Navy, where like more than 100 young boys lost their life. So it's a special place. The Lupo was was a small ship. Was a torpedo ship, which was a class of ships that only the Italian Navy had in that war. Was a very small destroyer, let's say, which ended up being one of the standard ships for the escort to convoys. So the Battle of Mediterranean Convoys has been an important battle during World War II. It was related to the North African campaign. The convoys, the supply ships, were a fundamental part of the logistic aspects of this war, because it was fought between Libya and Egypt, and then in the last part in Tunisia, and there was no industrial production of any sort, so everything had to be brought from Europe. So there was a continuous flow.
In a highly mechanized and modern conflict, a continuous stream of essential war materials flowed from Europe to the front lines in Libya, primarily via merchant ships from Naples to Tripoli, escorted by Italian naval ships. Despite most supplies reaching their destination, fierce efforts to intercept and destroy these convoys resulted in about 10% of them sinking. Mario, together with the team at SDSS, the Society for the Documentation of Submerged Sites, made it their goal to find these lost shipwrecks and share their stories. But the search was far from easy.
Well, we searched the Lupo for many years, with Mario and his brother as well, Antonio. The Lupo at the end was very far. The real wreck is very far from the historical coordinates. The interaction with fishermen one way or another that brings you to the site. Okay, they know the seafloor perfectly in different ways because the information is passed from one boat to another boat, so it's common between them. And then you get to the site of a wreck.
In questo progetto il mio ruolo è fare il capitano, perché da tanti anni che noi facendo la pesca abbiamo trovato questi relitti e poi dal 2007 in poi abbiamo cominciato, eravamo prima in due erano loro, che noi cercavamo questo lupo, però non sapevamo di dove dava praticamente la posizione. Ci siamo stati qualche 3-4 anni.
And then one day we finally found the Veloce, which has armored tanks on board and big trucks and artillery. It's an incredible wreck. In the same afternoon we did the other wreck. It was bad visibility, so we ended up on the seafloor nearby the ship. It was a very confusing environment. Then we climbed it up on the deck, and I saw a very peculiar characteristic of a warship. And I said, this is it, finally. And then immediately after this, there was the cannon. And so I was like, very happy, very happy. It's completely covered in nets. There have been also some major damage created by the nets, like the superstructure. which was in much better conditions when we discovered the wreck 10 years ago or so. Here we had identified also the steering wheel and the compass and telegraph machines, all the things that are in a wheelhouse. Now they are completely covered under the nets, and the net, when it got entangled, destroyed completely the superstructure. Most of these wrecks are a testimony of tragic events that happened and significant events. They will decline and get destroyed into a mountain of wreckage, right? But they should go in this direction in a natural way, decay naturally, so not in an accelerated way due to human impact of one kind or another. So.
This is why Healthy Seas and Ghost Diving have teamed up with SDSS to clean these shipwrecks from the fishing nets, making them a safer place for marine life and helping to preserve their structure for further study.
What Mario is doing is documenting the wreck by photogrammetry, and if it's covered with nets, you cannot see the wreck. So if we remove the nets and then after do the photogrammetry, then people who are not able to dive the Lupo can see how the wreck lies over there, and when time passes by, how the wreck evolves in time.
What we find as SDSS, we consider wreck diving to be a good key for getting the interest of the general public on history. Because the wrecks are in any case a fascinating environment. They are nice, they are modern. Also the way in which we explore the wrecks is technological and modern. So it brings some modernity to something that otherwise would be black and white and old. One can live without history, without knowing history, ignoring history completely, and can live a beautiful life and very successful. So it's not really needed, but few things are as fascinating as history. Something that makes you stronger somehow. If you know a bit of history, you know that it's never been as good as it is now, actually, just to say one of the many things that knowing a bit of history gives you. Gives you more perspective.